Okay, so I actually don't have 10 games on my list. I also don't have 10 on my most disappointing either. You get 8 and you get 6 respectively. As always, gonna try and avoid spoilers, but there may be spoilers, so move along if there isn't anything. So let's just get a show on the road. This one's gonna be short and sweet. Planet Crafter is a fun little relaxing game in which you terraform a planet by gathering resources, create machines which will allow you to get better resources, get better machines, help terraform the planet faster to gradually make the place hospitable. There's not really much more to say beyond that. It's a fun little relaxing game, though I wish there was more in the ways of like automation or just general things in general. Though it isn't still in early access, so it does get a pass in that. They have said things which they will put in, will not put in, and I do kind of hope it's more of a we might do this, but it's not on our list. Or, maybe mods will fix it. Mods tend to fix everything. I tend to think myself as a pretty fit guy. Not active to say the least, but at 180 pounds, I say I'm a healthy weight. And I do try to keep myself in that rough area, though I use more, for lack of the better word, alternative fitness strategies. Sure, I've got weights and resistant bands and a paddle machine, but these are dull and they don't really do much for my cardio and stamina. So I have the alternative in VR video games. Stuff like Beat Saber and Pistol Whip, which helps, but not to the level of Ring Fit Adventures. And the funny part is that I had zero interest in this game until I watched Orukroni play it. Yeah, I saw this and I was like, I'm gonna play this. And honestly, I don't regret it. The only reason it's so low is of two major issues for it. For one, it does lose the entertainment factor quite quickly. It's alright, but when I compare it to things like Pistol Whip or Beat Saber, and no, I'm not including mods in that comparison, those two are just more fun and get the adrenaline going. This kinda sticks with the same old. Run to a place, do X number of reps, go to the next place, repeat. Not to mention you gain extra exercises by leveling up. The issue there is that a majority of the initial exercises focus on your legs, which are already getting a workout from running from place to place. The second one is, remember when I said that the exercises I currently do don't do anything for my cardio and stamina? Yeah, this game kills me. And I know that's a bit unfair because that's on me. That's why it's a bad point, but I'm not really putting it against it. I can last maybe 10 minutes before I essentially die. Again, not a mark against the game, but boy howdy is it unfair for people like me. Maybe it's because I'm also stupid and having it on the highest difficulty. I'm going by the logic of hit exercises here, okay? Mindustry. Mindustry? Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mindustry. I remember as a kid playing an old Flash tower defense game where you were sort of like in a medieval world. It was on maybe Newgrounds or Miniclip. I don't remember, I was a kid. But I very much enjoyed it. It was very simple, only one map, 9 towers, and it tended to revolve around only 2 of them, but it was a ton of fun. And then I played the Sanctum games, which is a mix of both first-person shooting and tower defense, which was also a ton of fun. I enjoyed it. Then Sanctum 2 came out, and I wasn't the biggest fan of this one. I felt that they talk about what made the original Sanctum great, the hybrid gameplay, and dumbed it down to focus more on the first-person shooter aspect. And then many years later, I found Mindustry. The easiest way to summarize it is if it's Factorio mixed with tower defense. The entire point of the game is that you build up resources to build defenses so you can get more resources to produce power and refinement machines so you can get better defenses to buy time for better resources and power for more defenses. All while stronger waves of enemies hit your defenses and whittle them down. Sure, it's not perfect. The drone AI for both sides is arguably terrible, though the big 7.0 update did help solve it. It does feel a lot less fun though. Then again, I think that's more of a case of it's different and I don't like it kind of deal. It's less wave-based tower defense and more base versus base, which isn't a bad thing, but the addition of not having your drones be able to just sally forth without you telling them, it really frustrates me. This is my PSP. I don't know if you can see, but it's very grimy because I have not played it for years. I had originally gotten it for a single game, which was Valkyria Chronicles 2. Don't buy a console for a single game. You will regret it if you can't find any other games to use on your console. Thankfully, I did have a handful of games, and one of them was God of War Chains of Olympus. I don't have the box, but this was my first ever time playing a God of War game. And then I got the 2018 version on Steam. God of War certainly doesn't reach my top 10 of all time, but I can say it made an honest effort, to the point where I was thinking about 100%ing it until the sheer collectibles came about. I enjoyed the begrudging but growing relationship between dad and boy, Kratos and boy, Kratos and Atreus, also known as boy. It's also great that, barring maybe one or two cutscenes in the entire game, you don't really feel that lost or confused if you haven't played the previous God of War games. Hello! The game is stunning, even if my PC struggles to play it sometimes because it's old. I enjoyed the level of free roam, letting you explore multiple areas and gather equipment to become even stronger, and you know how people joke about how games are too easy nowadays? Yeah, when this game says hard difficulty, it means hard. That said, there's a few big issues with the game, which definitely knock it down a bit for me. I wasn't a big fan of the majority of the bosses literally being one of 3 enemies. I get that going for the Norse gods is for Ragnarok, but honestly, just having a palette swap of big guy with club, stone golem, and Shrek gets real boring real quickly. Secondly, the combos are kind of a waste. There's some attacks which say, if you wait a few seconds, you'll change stance for like 2 hits. But I can just keep spamming a light to heavy combo. It just turns free-flowing combat into something cumbersome. And that's also ignoring the fact that the axe throw is arguably busted. The power-ups, I feel, are pretty bad too. Rarely did I ever decide to use the light arrows after getting the lightning arrows, and for some of the summons, I don't think I even ever used. It was always either the electric wolves or the electric crows that I used. They don't ruin the experience for me, but they do sour it. The third big one is some of the side content is really grindy and becomes incredibly tedious. The most notable one, without going too much into spoilers, being that you have to go through to the deepest point of an ever-changing mini-dungeon for the chance for an item, which you need to close what's called realm tiers. But you also need to farm a particular currency in the mini-dungeon, meaning that you need to run through it maybe 100 times total to get all of them. Look, if I want to do that much grinding in a single-player game, I would just play the X-Universe games, which is its entire point, plus has the advantage of being in space. Everything's better in space. I hope Ragnarok fixed these issues, but I don't have a PlayStation 5 and I have no intention to, so I'm going to have to wait like 4 years for it to come out on PC. Also, Mimir's voice actor is a voice actor for Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, which is just funny to me. Yeah, I guess I like Fortnite. I had spent years avoiding Fortnite, literal years, and Battle Royales in general. I avoided Battle Royales because it reminded me of Counter-Strike Source or Call of Duty Search and Destroy mode. You know, the one life and that's it kind of gameplay loop. Doesn't appeal to me, not a big fan of it, not at all. And I avoided Fortnite because I didn't care for the building, not to mention, you know, people took it way, way too seriously. I've seen those videos of people building giant fortresses in the space of like 2 seconds. But eventually my friends started giving it a go, and the no build mode came out, and I tried it, and yeah, it's pretty alright. Don't get me wrong, I will never touch the normal building mode, but no build is fun. With friends, it's tolerable solo. The aesthetics are nice, it has real good sound design for the guns, and I will very much say, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the game has probably the best season pass I have ever seen. So long as you complete the pass, which isn't hard given the amount of XP missions give, you'll not only make back the V-Bucks that you spent, but get some extra to buy additional stuff in the store. I guess the big issue there is that it's literally impossible to earn V-Bucks outside of spending real-world money or on the Battle Pass. I'm not saying make it super easy, but giving an option would be nice. So I started playing RimWorld in August, and yeah, that's a lot of hours in such a short time. I don't know what it is about the game that I enjoy, but I can try to explain it. I enjoy colony sims. I enjoy looking after a colony, helping them grow, helping them expand. And I also very much enjoy automation, planning out and optimizing and trying to get basically everything in the perfect way that I can get everything automated. And RimWorld does both, while also including the factor of character strength and weaknesses, and the AI being predictable. Hail Randy! It's a case of the fact that you get the colony sim up to the point where the automation part kicks in, and then when the automation part kicks in, you can then relax until combat's involved, in which case you then need to look at things. Plus, the narrative. You can make a story based off various things. When I started, I didn't do that, but now when I play, I do have a sort of narrative that I try to follow. I guess in a way you could say that this is a mixture of Oxygen Not Included with Factorio. That's the second time I've made a reference to Factorio in this countdown. So, I can't say anything about these last games because I didn't play them. But I know someone who did, and that's why they're going on the list here. I just need to get him. Don't worry about the voice. He had to mimic a voice, and there was only really one option at the time. So, there you go. I will leave you to it. Wait, which one am I doing? You're doing 2 and 1. Wait, why 2 and 3? Well, because you wanted to put both on here, and I didn't want to put them together because then I'd have 7. I like even numbers. Have fun. Okay then. Hello, Organics. I heard quite a few things from this Chrono Trigger game you Organics talked about. How it's one of the best Square games, which isn't Final Fantasy, and after playing it, I'm inclined to agree. I enjoyed playing the game a lot, though I do have a few issues with it, so let's get those out of the way first. Some enemies you just can't avoid, which is problematic when going back and forth, especially near the end of the game. It makes the constant backtracking annoying. And 2, magic is way too strong. Once I dealt with the problem of being underleveled, the game became a breeze and a half, because I just needed to spam magic, and 90% of the fights were over quickly. Especially since I could easily get enough gold to make up for the cost of replenishing my MP. Not to mention that, even outside of magic, I rarely found a point to use any of the dual or tri-techs outside of it looked cool. And now on to the good parts, which there's a lot of. First, the game looks really good. And I'm not talking about the animated cutscenes, although honestly, I'm not too crazy about Toriyama's art style to begin with, so it wasn't like, oh my god, but yeah, I mean, they were kind of good. I enjoyed the gameplay with the precision-based combat system. The story felt like it had a good pace for a 90s RPG. Let's ignore the fact that it's like a 20-hour RPG. I enjoyed that most of the music, okay, minus the tribal music, I have bad memories of that one, was really good as well. It also had very well-developed characters that I was interested in. They all had their place in history and solid backstories. They aren't there for the sake of being there. Well, okay, to begin with, but, you know, eventually you see stuff about them, and I like them all. I like them all. Not to mention the different times where, when you go to different times, you got those small details, like the islands moving slightly due to the tectonic plates. That's why they move slightly, right? That wasn't just a happy little accident, so to speak. Overall, I can see why people wish that Chrono Trigger came back. It broke the mold of traditional JRPGs at the time. Though, jury is out on how well it would do in today's age, especially with Square's other flagships going this more Kingdom Hearts action-orientated route. Now for Chrono Cross, which is going to be a lot shorter here. Honestly, while I think it's a good game, I think it takes the number 2 spot, while Chrono Trigger takes the number 1 spot. I think it's worse than Chrono Trigger. It's a fantastic game though, don't get me wrong, but it has issues. The combat is more traditional, like JRPG stuff, which is already a letdown, though I do enjoy how the spell system works akin to like Dungeons & Dragons spell slot systems. The story is a little bit too cryptic for me. I don't mind cryptic games. I enjoy cryptic games. But I also don't really like them being cryptic all the way up to the very, very end. You know, I like answers. I like some answers. I like some explanation when I can. I don't need it spelled out for me, but I would rather not have it like dumped on me right at the very end. Also there, I don't like the amount of characters. I get that's a selling point, and obviously, you know, there's this, it's story. Like, obviously, the story-related ones. Many of them just, outside the story, many of them devolve into, it's this character, but this. Like, Fargo is a water-aligned kid, or how Lynx is a dark-aligned Surge. I mean, I guess Guile's unique and such, but in a way, Rasley is a green-aligned Guile, for the most part. There's only a handful of, like, unique ones, to the point where it's like, at the midpoint of the game, I had Surge, because I had no choice, and either Fargo or Kid for thieving. And a random character, which was normally Janice, because I have a type. As I say, Chrono Cross is a fantastic, like, there's a lot you can take from that. And again, I see why that and Chrono Trigger, people want it to come back. But if I had to choose, Chrono Trigger is the one that gets my vote as the best played of this year. And so with that, wait, does he need to come back for this? No. Okay, I think it's me that's ending this. That's wow, big shoes to fill. So I hope you enjoyed our list of our top games played in 2022. I mean, I'm looking forward to playing more games in 2023, especially if there's any good ones coming out. I mean, we've got, what, Final Fantasy 16 coming out? That's going to be fun to play. I don't know if I'll actually get around to playing it. I still need to play through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11's the MMO, so I don't need to do that. 12, 13, 13.2, 13.3, 15. I don't think I'm going to get to that in time. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And this is Reki going offline.